What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we're going to talk about a putting challenge that I feel like has helped my game. Trying to decide, is it good for your game too? But before we dive in, I have to ask the most important question of the day. How you doing today, Casey? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
Here's the plan is simple. I started a challenge where I have putted every single day for 30 days straight. Started it a little bit before January because I knew that I wanted to drop this video at the beginning of February. And so I wanted to frame it as like we putted every day in January, but I knew I have to get the footage ahead of time. Kind of like how the whole YouTube thing works. We do not shoot on the same day that we drop videos. That would be a lot of work. So I thought, as someone who would consider himself like a pretty decent putter, what would it look like for me to putt every single day to keep that itch going? Little did I know that we were about to walk into one of the coldest Januaries that Alabama has seen in a long time. I mean, it's so cold that, like, for instance, it has literally snowed twice in Alabama this year already. It has been really cold, and I still wanted to make sure that I got in practice. So really grateful for Birdie Blend because it did exactly what I wanted it to do. In the cold, I still feel like I have a little bit of tack and grip to it. This is the slickest that they've ever felt, and it's because it's the coldest that they've kind of ever been in. Still really enjoying it. So that was definitely step one, but also I mentioned earlier in a video that we were trying to continue to push distance goals in order to be ready for my trip up to Foundation, and the cold weather has just honestly really put a damper on that. So it has been tough, but when you have bad circulation and the blood's not flowing to your hands, you got to do what you got to do. So I wanted to get out here while it is in the like mid 30s because I'm having to accept that that's kind of the standard for warmth right now, and just wanted to get out and throw a few shots on a short little pitch and putt to just get the arm loose, because I've been doing a lot of shadow swings in the house, and I just want to make sure that I'm not like losing things. That's like so deep. Whoops, one forehand to get loose. That's perfect. So why did I do the challenge on putting? Well, I think that often when we are trying to increase one part of our game, it often can, like, it comes at the cost of another, right? If I'm actively working on improving one thing, I can certainly try to improve multiple things in my game at the same time, but I only have so much collected energy and so much effort that I can put into putting and driving and upshots, especially if you are not doing this professionally. You only have so much time to spend on trying to improve. So I wanted to make sure that I was still keeping things dialed as I sort of tried to push the boundaries and expectations of my game elsewhere. What do I think about the challenge? What would I change about the challenge? Is the challenge worth, you know, y'all tackling and doing? These are all questions that I sort of was asking myself while I was going through this. And I think, honestly, this is a helpful exercise regardless of how good you are at putting, how bad you are at putting. Putting is definitely a thing that becomes more consistent the more time and effort that you put in. Awesome. I just wanted to back up. So let me start by, do I think this is helpful, especially if you are someone who is not good at putting, we'll say? Yes. I do, in fact, think it is helpful for you, even if you're bad at putting. But I would walk in with a couple hesitancies, which were some of my big, like, things I didn't really think about when starting to do this challenge. First of which is, do not throw right now, because I'm not trying to smash into this car. One of the biggest takeaways that you should know if you're stepping into this is not every day is going to be a good long day on the putting green. Good bounce, decent roll. Yeah, that's a pretty easy way to get into the basket. When you're doing an exercise like this, or you're playing a game like golf or disc golf, we have to understand that we're not robots. We're not perfect. We cannot do the same thing over and over again. And the point of a 30-day putting challenge is to help you find consistency and repeatability in your putting stroke, in your motion, and to sort of learn what works for you, what feels good for you, and also what feels bad. Like what is something that's off in your stroke so that you can sort of focus in and dial it up. And often when we do this, we're going to learn, oh, this felt good, this felt bad. And the things that felt bad during a practice putting session, we can be tempted to overwork them in order to sort of sort out that bad feeling. For instance, I know that I have really two pretty drastic hitches in my putt. Those hitches basically just mean like things that when I mess it up, like if I don't focus on correcting these, or if I let them sneak into the form, then I know that I'm gonna miss more putts than I'm used to. And those two hitches are not popping my fingers, slash like sort of drawing the hand back in. And then also I have a hitch of over rotating my hand on the disc. So if you guys didn't see, I dropped a video a couple weeks ago that was all about spin putting 101. And so I talked about how sometimes we overcorrect in wrist positions here. Well, now my hand is on top of the disc. In order to putt, I have to get all the way around the disc, and that creates pulling it to the right most often. So I want to find some middle ground to where I'm not necessarily on the back of the disc, because that doesn't have any pop or push coming out of it with the finger engagement, but also I don't want to be so high that I'm over pulling to the right. So I have to find like a nice middle ground when I'm feeling great and confident. That's more so if this is a clock, it's more so at like 2 o'clock, but when I'm feeling off, I can shift it to 3. So I have to adjust, like in the first couple of putts today, because I've done so much putting practice, I knew we're having a meh day. So I'm gonna be at 3 and then push from 3 to 6 o'clock for my engagement today, because it's still cold, and so my finger pop, it just isn't what I want it to be. And so because of that, I don't want to like get lazy and let my wrist get involved, because my fingers just aren't getting the pop that they're looking for. Now, how did I find and learn that? I learned that because I went and had days where I just was completely off, and it like wasn't registering, it wasn't firing, and I was like, oh, why is this not working? And I practiced for a little bit and then tried to see if I could correct what I wanted to correct. And then from there, I stopped putting, which is the second biggest takeaway. Sometimes 5 minutes is better than 30. This is something that I've talked about on the channel before, but I like that the only rigidity of this program or this exercise was that I was going to try to make myself putt every day. Oftentimes it'll be, I'm trying to work on my putting, so I'm gonna go putt for 30 minutes every single day. The problem is, sometimes when I get out there, I'm having to focus so hard on the bad habit of my wrist is over rotating, or I'm not popping the fingers, that in trying to focus on popping my fingers, I let other parts of my form slip. And if I get out there and I just have a bad putting day and I spend 30 minutes trying to grind in and correct things versus acknowledging after 5 minutes, hey, it's not that you're just not loose today. It is literally, you're off. I start to cement and form some bad habits of my putt. And if I'm locked into, I have to putt for 30 minutes every day, then I'm gonna have 30 minutes of bad putting versus 5 minutes of just staying loose and somewhat familiar with my stroke and letting the things that are bad work their way out versus forcing them out while also picking up possibly other bad habits. I'm not sure that that like makes a ton of sense. Hopefully it does to the people that it should. We can overwork our form or overwork the putting to create some bad moments. Such as today, I don't feel like I'm having a particularly great putting day. So I'm gonna putt for a few minutes to sort of see, okay, not because I missed 2 putts, am I having a bad putting day, but am I just struggling to find the consistency of the putt? And if I putt for a little bit and I start finding that consistency, awesome. I don't wanna quit too early, but I also don't wanna commit to, I have to throw 100 putts a day, because I could be getting 95 terrible putts, which is creating 95 bad reps in my head and my muscle memory. So not all days are good days, but also the more you putt, the more you're gonna find what a consistent putt feels like. And I wanna find that so that I know when I throw my first couple warm-up putts, okay, what's feeling off, what's feeling on today? Because sometimes if you're going to play tournaments or you're trying to get competitive, you're gonna play local leagues, or you're going to play with friends even. Like, warming up on the putting green and having spent time in 30 days of practicing your putt, you're gonna know what a good putt feels like, because you're going to have good days on the putting green. And when you get to the practice green, you don't have an option to just not play that day. You can make the adjustments because you know what your putt looks like. Like, honestly, that's one of the struggles that I'm coming right now to my driving form, is that I don't necessarily know what good throws and good drives feel like. And because of that, it's tough. I can't say, oh, I was just on it today. When I'm hitting great shots, I don't know it's because I was actually dialed or I was actually bad. And when I'm hitting bad shots, I don't know either. That's straight into the woods, the one place you can't be. We're out. Another thing that I would say during the 30-day period, the 30-day period is to practice and work on routines. Don't just get out there and throw putt after putt after putt. Practice your routine. Build a routine that works for you so that you feel confident in the consistency that it brings you. So there, right, we missed the putt because we're not having a good putting day. Settle up and readjust. It's easy to walk in a situation like that, especially when you're doing the 30-day practice, to, oh, I missed the putt, let me just fire another one, fire another one. If you're working on building a better routine that you're going to translate to the course, it's okay to get less putts in your practice that day and to adjust. And the last thing that I'll say when it comes to this exercise, drill, consistency, whatever you want to say, is that I do think that if you decide to putt for 30 days straight to try to improve your game and you commit to it, you get there. And I had days where I could have putted more. I had days where I could have putted less. I had days where I traveled. So I literally had to practice putting from inside of I'm visiting my parents with our kid. And so I had days where I brought a putter, kept it in my briefcase, and I knew they don't have a practice basket at their house, but I want to keep up this consistency, keep this drill. So I was literally in a corner of the guest room that we were staying in, and I was practicing putting up into a pillow. Just putting into a pillow, getting into the motion over and over again. If you want to make changes to your form, or your putting form, if you want to make changes and try something else, this is a great opportunity to add some consistency to that method. Okay. That is not too shabby. We actually got a hold of it there, which felt good. Okay, of course. Kicked off into the woods. Those both felt good. Those felt really good. All in all, would I suggest, whether you're good at putting, bad at putting, putting every day for 30 days? Yes. We all knew that was going to be the conclusion of the video. You got to make sure that you're getting out there and doing what you can to improve. It's one thing to say I'm bad at this and to just refuse to get the reps in, but we want to make sure the quality reps, and we want to make sure that we're repping the right stuff. So if you're feeling off, this is me, Mr. YouTube Man, telling you, take a break, walk away for the day. You're not going to solve it today by being frustrated and grinding out that putting practice. But also, if you have 2 bad days in a row, that doesn't mean that you just don't need to putt. Even if you're having a bad day, still get in 5 minutes. So again, the practice, because we want to make sure that we are improving in some form of fashion and just consistently getting those reps, because consistency is the key to our success. So I hope this was helpful. If you've tried a putting challenge like this before, let me know. And how do you feel about, that's the big question mark. How do you feel about the only consistent factor of this being 30 days? Not 100 putts a day for 30 days, not 30 minutes a day for 30 days. I just want you out there putting in some form of fashion for 30 days. Have you ever tried that? And if not, comment now that you're willing to try it, and then come back and comment on your comment and let me know how it went. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're gonna leave you with the birdie.